Hello and welcome to this episode of the Projector Project. My name is Diederik, Projector. I've been experimenting with the human design system for 7 years. I'm also professionally trained in the business and career application of human design. And this channel serves not only to share my personal experience, but to share any wisdom that I've gained from listening to my clients over the years. So today we'll be talking about the motivation of guilt and the transference of hope. So in the human design system there are 6 motivations, and each one of these has a transference. What does all this mean? This is your motivation. This is how your mind is designed to work. This is the mechanics of the frame through which your mind perceives the world. And so there's different ways in which it does that. Different motivations. By the way, you will be joining me on my walk through the forest. So I'm going to talk about guilt as a motivation because that is my motivation in the human design system. The transference is hope. Simply put, guilt is my motivation, and when I'm not in that, and when I'm operating from a place that is not me, I go into hope. Whereas there are people that are hope motivated and their transference is guilt. So in a nutshell, guilt is all about feeling guilty or being driven by guilt to fix things, particularly things in the outside world, but also in your own life. Whereas hope is magnetizing a resolution by being hopeful, by being in a hopeful state, and have faith that life will bring you what it is that you need, or it will bring resolution. So if I'm, as a guilt motivation, if I hope that things will resolve themselves, they're not going to resolve themselves. No one's going to come and save me. No one's going to come and fix the problem. I need to do it. Whereas if you are someone that is motivated by hope, then you need to stay in a hopeful state. And if you go into the transference of guilt, you're going to try and start fixing things. And then you're going to actually tamper with the delicate balance, this delicate rhythm that you're creating through being I was going to say hopefully motivated. So my experience with this and how this shows up is that they talk about this particularly in the context of a career. Like, you are here to fix things that aren't working, and you, through the way that your mind operates, are able to see what it is that needs to be fixed, and no one's going to do it unless you do it. And so they ask you, what are the areas in life, or in your career, or in the world, what kind of field are you most interested in solving problems? And you are meant to solve problems. And I was listening to this one YouTube video on this, saying like, you're not even really meant to be a motivational speaker. You're really meant to solve problems. And that in itself can be motivational, right? That you give people ways, practical ways to solve their problems. So I'm a 5-1 as well, right? So I'm here to provide practical solutions to people in a time of crisis based on research that I have done, right? Based on being an investigator and gaining a solid foundation of knowledge. But when it comes to guilt, it's very interesting because I was listening to another video saying like, listen, in a way you can't really control this. It's just a mechanism. And it is a binary, meaning you need both. You can't always just be in guilt motivation, and when you notice yourself being in hope transference, to say, oh, there's something wrong. And by that I mean in very practical terms, You might be fixing problems, but there are steps you need to take. And if you rush it because you feel guilty and restless that you need to fix something, then you're actually going to make the problem worse. So you need to quote unquote wait and maybe hold a sense of hope. You know, with hope being the intention that it's going to work out, that you're focused on the problem. But you need to not take action right now because you're maybe waiting for more information to come out, or yeah, it's just not timely, right? By recognizing our human design authorities, me being a splenic authority and being intuitive, you know, sometimes I'm fixing problems, I'm picking up the phone and my intuition's like, no, this isn't the time to pick up the phone. Like, just wait. Now, being a projector too, right? Us being projectors, we have to wait for the invitation anyway, and you know. But it really is a tricky balance sometimes. I don't know how bad this wind is. I'm sorry, guys. Woo! I'll find a path that is not so windy. And like, honestly, I'm gonna give you a personal, like where I'm at right now. It is now January 13th, 2024, and you know, I've made significant changes in my life and gained a lot of clarity as well. So as far as the guilt motivation and having a focus on what I want to fix, right? What I'm really motivated about, and then I'm also qualified to fix, or I'm headed in that direction as my mastery. And that is not only helping people find their zone of genius, right? How your strengths, talents, and genius manifest themselves. And I use the human design system as a guide in that. Having been trained in the career and business application, I can see how every gate has a particular business skill, how every channel is a business strength, and how that all works together to give you a overview of what your genius is. And then through all the other aspects of your design, such as being a projector, or your profile, right, being a 5-1 or whatever it is, to put you, and of course the primary health system, your environment and all that, including your motivation, to put you in the right environment, right? Are you someone that thrives working by yourself? Are you better in partnership? Are you good in a small group, large group? And in all of those, what are you designed to do, and how are you designed to do it? And what are you not designed to do, and how you're not designed to do it? And for me, it's all based on my experience working in the corporate environments previously, and I just saw a lot of people coming in very motivated and being very deflated very quickly, because what I see is that these corporate environments and a lot of these work environments are not conducive to people being in their zone of genius. Simply put, instead of having a role that's very defined and trying to squeeze someone into it, do it the other way around. Look at someone's gifts, their strengths, their genius, their passions, and create a role around that. Right? To me, that's simple. And it really can empower people that way. And I've seen it, and that's what I'm doing, right? That's my motivation. That's a problem that I see that can be fixed. And taking it a step further, I am someone that feels that I've always had a deeper calling being here on this planet, and that unless I answer that deeper soul's calling, I'm just not going to be complete. It's an unshakable feeling, and I know I'm not alone in that. I know that very well, and I'm here to assist people in a transition from their career to their calling. Now, that calling can be anything from doing, Reiki, energy work, channeling, to things that are a lot more mundane. Starting a company, being an entrepreneur, but starting a company in a way where you are really honoring the people that work there, and that you are creating roles around who those people are instead of it being the other way around, right? So this is a very practical explanation of how that guilt motivation shows up in me. Okay? Now the hope is that someone's gonna solve this problem, or like I'm just gonna delay it. Kind of like that. And I think I read somewhere too, like, then someone else can pop in and solve the problem instead of you, and then you miss your opportunity too. And then you really feel guilty towards yourself. And that's something that I also wanted to talk about the guilt motivation, is like to actually feel guilt in your body. It's a heavy emotion, guys. It's I don't know if any of you, I mean, if you're watching this, you're most likely also guilt motivation, so let me know how that feels in your body. But it can feel heavy. Like, that's my experience. Like, you wake up and you just feel guilty because there's a problem that you're maybe not solving, or also in your personal life, right? It applies to your personal life too. No one's going to come and save you. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be the guilt motivation. That's just more that you're going to attract what it is that you put out. But hold on one sec. I'm going to pass through a little gate here. But I wanted to go back really quickly to this idea of the hope transference. And I was looking at my gates the other day, and again, it being now mid-January, and I'm really moving forward with my offerings to solve these problems that I see, that I am very passionate and feel qualified to solve. That there was a lot about having to show restraint, and that there is a sense of restlessness that I get that will engender me or push me to take premature action, meaning I'm forcing things. Now, to me, the whole idea is that human design is a system, a knowledge-based system that explains, well, the mechanics of your aura and the mechanics of flow. How is the electromagnetic energy meant to flow through you, into you, through you, and out of you? So it's very important, it's this book too, by Dr. Hawkins, Power versus Force, and power, or force rather, being something, well, that's forced. It's not in alignment with natural rhythms, and it's more ego-based, whereas power it's flow. I mean, think about it in practical terms. It's like power is going with the river, so you are as strong as the river, whereas force is trying to go upstream against the river. So how am I meant to flow with this guilt motivation? So I'm really sitting with that right now. I'm looking to solve some issues. In practical terms, creating additional revenue streams for myself. Now, how do I go about that? I'm a projector, right? So there's the whole waiting for invitation. I'm also a guilt motivation, so I need to solve these problems because no one's going to solve them for me. Then there's also this aspect of, sitting with the pressure of wanting to fix these things and the restlessness that comes with it, but then not forcing things. You see how it can get really intricate. And sometimes I'm like, between you and me, I'm just like, wow, how do we navigate this in a proper way? And again, this hope transference, going into hope transference, like, in a way, I'm a little bit in a holding pattern right now, and I could say that I'm in my hope transference. But that's not a bad thing. It's kind of like, you can't always be inhaling. You got to exhale too, right? But that's that binary. That's that mechanism. It's gotta go back and forth. It's like what's coming up for me. And I just want to be clear with you guys. I am not a teacher or an instructor in this, so this is just what I've gotten from consuming content and information around this, including the base material, and just contemplating it. So this is a contemplation more than anything. Okay, so just wanted to be clear on that. Shoot, now I've lost my my thinking on this. I know I was talking about it being this, this breath, right? This in and out. And yeah, sometimes we just gotta wait. Sometimes there is a waiting. Man, I completely lost my train of thought. It will come back to me. Let's keep walking. It's also starting to get cold because it is January here. It was I was in my shirt earlier in the sun and doing some breath work, but now it's definitely starting to get a little cold as the sun's going down. So yeah, so what I'm really learning, and if you are a guilt motivation, find out what it is you want to solve in the world. That's the most important bit of information around this. So yeah, what are you excited about? And what are you qualified to solve? And the way you would solve that would be one of the ways would be through your profile. If you're a 3-5, it would be based on your experiential wisdom. If you're a 2-4, it'd just be your natural gifts and talents when it comes to the problem that you're looking to solve. So yeah, find out what you're excited about. And as far as the hope transference, the message I've been getting from the content is like, yeah, just recognize when you're in transference. And now I'm back to what I forgot. It's like there's always cycles of expansion and contraction, same as the inhale exhale. And you want to make sure that when you have expended a lot of energy, that you rest. You don't want to overdo the resting, and you don't want to overdo the doing. It's just the balance. It's just knowing the balance, and your body will tell you that intuitively. You will be told. And I do find that this motivation works that way too, the guilt motivation. I have a lot of things that I want to do and that are on my list to do. And we are now again January 13th, and I have spent most of this month really kind of hibernating, sleeping a lot. Now, there's something in the air right now that I seem to not be the only one that's sleeping a lot. Bringing in a little bit more of the the cosmic weather. I see my body seems to be sensitive to solar activity. At least that's my current theory. But also just letting go of the past, letting go of my past self. And one of the ways to really move forward, I think, with guilt motivation is forgiveness. Quick sidestep. I don't know if any of you are familiar with A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles is a body of knowledge that helps you to detach from your ego, or to at least see the ego for what it is. And it very simply explains everything that is fear is your ego, and everything that is love and joy, well, that's your true spirit. And these are two voices in your head. And for sure, your ego is going to use guilt to put you down, to remind you of the times where you didn't do something, or, and then again, guilt very, very closely linked to shame. That was close. Almost slipped. Guilt and shame being very closely linked. And again, on bringing back Dr. Hawkins, he made the scale of emotions and where they rank in terms of vibration, and guilt and shame are very far down on that list. Meaning they sap life force from you. They sap joy from you. So it's such a delicate balance to use this guilt motivation to motivate you versus it just completely collapsing you on the inside. Right? So this is a lot of information. I'm introducing a lot of different things here and bringing a lot of different angles to this because, human design is one system. It's a great system. It's helped me a lot. I also don't want to be dogmatic and put myself in a box. It's experimenting, right? I'm 7 years into the experimentation and I can see when things work and when they don't. As a projector, we're already doing the least of all of the types in terms of the doing. And there is such a thing as doing even less allows us to thrive even more. I've just found that to be true through experimentation. To where even my generator partner at the time was like, this is really working for you. I'm like, yeah, invitations were coming. I felt a lot more clarity. I was getting more done. So like I said, there's just a lot of moving pieces to this. So I think with that, I'm going to park it here. I think the key takeaways from this, just to reflect with you guys. 1 second. Okay, just want to make sure I heard a little bleep. So, guilt motivation is all about being motivated by guilt to solve a problem that you are uniquely qualified to fix, something that you're excited about, something you're passionate about, particularly in your career. And no one else is going to fix it if you don't. The same applies to your personal life, right? You got to fix the problems. The transference is hope, meaning that if you're just going to be in a perpetual state of hoping that this problem is going to solve itself, it ain't going to happen. And so you just want to be mindful when you are in this transference. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's meant to be there. Just, again, based on the information that I've received, it's just, again, you want to, be sure that you don't stay in the transference. That's it. That's really the key. It's interesting. I wanted to bring in the last aspect. Not so much an aspect, but from personal experience. And I don't know if this is the guilt motivation. I don't know if this is the 5-1. I don't know if this is being a quad right. I don't know if this is other aspects of my design. But when crisis happens, like when something just like crazy happens, like an accident, or there's just a lot of stuff happening, I go into this mode where I'm not even in my mind, but I just feel like my mind is aligned with my being. I'm very, very present, and I'm able to also keep my emotions in check and solve problems. So I can be like, okay, all right, something happened. You go do this. Yeah, you got that. Good. Okay, you go do this. You got that. Good. You go do that. Okay, how's this going? And everything just goes very naturally. It's like something takes over. And while I'm doing this, I'm holding a vibration that whatever it is that I'm looking to fix in that moment, whatever the problem is, that the solution is going to come. That I'm not necessarily picturing what the solution will look like or what the outcome will be, but I'm feeling that we're going to find an outcome that is going to be beneficial. So I'm feeling it, and I'm operating from a very practical standpoint, fixing problems. So I'm curious if any of the 5-1s listening to this have experience with that, or quad rights, or just in general if you have experience with this, and what your theory is on that. in terms of the human design. Okay, guys and gals, fellow human design experimenters out there, it was a pleasure going on this walk with you. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed some of the views behind me. And yeah, let me know if there's anything else that you'd like me to, as a 5-1, to research and to sit with and to contemplate and to live and then to share with you guys. There's so many things we can talk about within the context of human design, and then also including it and incorporating it in the broader context of what it's like being alive as a human. You know, this projector channel is a sister channel to Coded to Thrive, which is my missions business. This is where I practically apply the 5-1-ness, or sorry, rather the guilt motivation, and where I work with people to put them in their zone of genius, to create an environment where they can thrive in their zone of genius, but also help people to move into their calling, their deeper calling to be of service to humanity and to make a living doing it. Because at least I Coded to Thrive, and I personally believe that I'm a creator of my reality. I'm responsible for everything in my reality. And if there's something I don't like, I need to have the courage to make the changes I need to make, and do that within the context of unconditional love. To be graceful with myself and loving with myself and patient. And in the context of the guilt motivation, patience, hope, and waiting, yeah, it's a delicate balance. So, yeah, here we go. And I brought up Coded to Thrive because one of the main messages there is that even though you have to take the steps on your own in your life to create the life that you love, you never journey alone. You have a tribe of soulmates that are here to assist you, to encourage you, to activate you, to co-create with you that which you are looking to create for yourself, the life that you love. Financial freedom, abundance, joy, playfulness, passion, connection, intimacy, all those things. And it starts with ourselves, right? It's all just a reflection of our relationship with ourselves. And that's a lot of the reason why we turn to human design as one of the systems, right? The other one I use is Gene Keys, for those that are familiar with it. So, yeah, you're not alone, my friend. Keep doing you. Please share, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Much love.